What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. This is another football themed video. I have done videos in the past with the Kansas City Chiefs only in the football video, but I just got the notion to write some great Kansas City Chiefs players. All three of these guys are some of the greatest Kansas City Chiefs ever to play the game. And who am I talking about? Other than the first one is returned, and this is a first for my channel as well. Gary Green, the cornerback of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the thing that is significant about Mr. Green is this: I also wrote Gary Green, the baseball player, in the past. So this is actually the first time that I've had two people with the same name that are two different individuals that I have written through the mail and had a success since I started my channel. So let me tell you about Gary Green, the football player, and his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. Gary Green was born in Texas, where he played his high school football in Texas, and then later went on to Baylor, also in Texas, to play his college football. He was a defensive back that was selected in the first round of the 1977 NFL Draft by the Kansas City Chiefs. Immediately in 1977, Green would appear in 11 games for the Chiefs in their backfield. He would spend the next 6 seasons with the Chiefs, appearing in the Pro Bowl in 1981, 82, and 83 as a defensive back for the Chiefs. For his career, he appeared in exactly 100 games for the Kansas City Chiefs, and in 1984, he chose to go to the Los Angeles Rams. Well, in 1985, he would also play for the Rams, and this would actually be his last season where he played as a Pro Bowler, marking this the 4th time he was a Pro Bowl player. Now, I'm not really sure why he retired after the 85 season. It really doesn't say. But in total, he was in 4 Pro Bowl selections, but he was selected to 5 All-Pro teams during that time. And over his career, he had 33 interceptions for 502 yards in interception returns. And he was honored by the Kansas City Chiefs in January of 2016, becoming a member of their Ring of Honor. So I had never gotten Gary Green. As many of you know, I've gotten a lot of vintage football cards over the last couple of years, and it's been an enormous amount of time sorting through them. And when it comes to Chiefs, I just don't have a lot, believe it or not, because of the area I live in. I think a lot of people just don't sell them. So very happy to have 4 different Gary Green autographs. So we'll move on to the next one. Now, this next one is also a teammate of Gary Green, and that is free safety, all-time great, Deron Cherry on 1, a 1991 Upper Deck makes 2, Pro Set makes 3, and a 4th with the great Ronnie Watt. And I'm not too familiar with Ronnie Watt's signing habits. I know he's a Hall of Famer, and I know he charges if he does sign. He does not sign for free, but it would be really nice to be able to get that card completed by Ronnie Watt someday. Maybe, you never know. So let me tell you about Deron Cherry and his career in the NFL. Deron Cherry grew up in New Jersey and attended Rutgers University. He went undrafted in 1981 and signed as a free agent with the Kansas City Chiefs. He would spend his entire 11-year career with the Chiefs, being a 6-time Pro Bowler from 1983 to 88, starting in 5 of those Pro Bowls. He had 6 100-tackle seasons in his 11 years as a member of the Chiefs, with a career total of 927 tackles, almost 1,000. He was a 5-time All-Pro in 1983, 84, 85, 86, and 88. He was also a first-team All-AFC and 2-time second-team All-AFC selection. Cherry's 15 career fumble recoveries place him in a 3-way tie for the Chiefs' all-time record. He ranks 3rd on the Chiefs' all-time list for most interceptions and is only the 26th player in the history of the NFL to reach 50 interceptions in his career. In 1987, he was selected to the Chiefs' 25-year all-time team before he was retired. In 1987, he also won the Whizzer White NFL Man of the Year award. This was due to his active involvement in the Special Olympics, the Muscular Dystrophy Association, Project Warmth, Score One for Health, Camp Quality USA, and the United Negro College Fund. So throughout his 11-year career with the Chiefs, he appeared in 148 games for the Chiefs, starting 124 of them. As I mentioned, he has 50 interceptions, which makes him one of only 26 players in the history of the game to have that. He was named to the all-time Chiefs team. This is, again, one of those guys that, like his counterpart Ronnie Lott, was probably one of the best in his position at the time. And it's kind of amazing that he's not getting considered for the NFL Hall of Fame. You know, somebody that lasted 11 years in the NFL, you know, especially in the 1980s when counterparts like Steve Atwater, who played for the Broncos, but they're very similar type of players. Atwater could hit a lot harder from what I understand. Not that I know from experience, but Cherry was a very good player for a long time. I'm very happy to add him to the collection as I'd never gotten him before. So we'll move on to the next Chiefs player. All right, so this final one is postmarked from the Kansas City area. Now I'm going to put you in the way back time machine for this one. And that is a autograph return from number 71 himself, the offensive lineman Ed Budde. And Ed Budde, or Ed Budde, however you want to say it, he signed one. And this is him in action protecting Lynn Dawson. Looks like he's doing a pull right there. As a former football player myself, I completely understand that play. And I finally had him sign a Super Bowl program card, I guess you would say. And these are very common and easy to find. But unfortunately, because maybe three's the limit, he didn't sign the third card of him. I much rather would have had the individual card signed other than that card. But, you know, maybe if I seen Lynn Dawson sometime, you know, I know Mr. Dawson has been kind of up in the air whether or not those autographs are real that you get through the mail. But I have actually been lucky enough to see Lynn Dawson in person before. So if I ever get that opportunity again, I'm definitely going to have Mr. Dawson finish that card off. So let me tell you about Ed and his career in the NFL. Ed played his high school football outside of Detroit, or in Detroit, Michigan, and later would be recruited to play at Michigan State University. Ed was chosen as the number one draft pick of the AFL draft by the Kansas City Chiefs in 1963. Ed played for the Kansas City Chiefs for 14 years as the left offensive guard, longer than any other Chief except for punter Gerald Wilson by one season. From 1963 to 1971, he did not miss a single start, playing in all 14 games for the Chiefs every year. So an Iron Man, in other words. Bud stood at 6'5", 260 pounds, and he had explosive blocks that often sprung a running back loose or kept defenders away from Chiefs quarterback Lynn Dawson, like this right here. Ed was part of the Chiefs' two AFL championship teams in 1966 and 1969, and of course was part of the Super Bowl championship team that the Chiefs appeared in for the first time that defeated the Minnesota Vikings. Ed was selected to the AFL All-Star team in 1963, 66, 67, and 68, and 69. So a 4-year stretch there in a row, and played in 6 AFL All-Star games. He was selected to the Sporting News' AFL All-League team in 1969. A neat trivia fact is he was selected as the first offensive lineman to be selected as the Associated Press's Offensive Player of the Week. You know, normally that goes to running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, etc. But he was the first lineman to get that award, or nomination, I should say. He retired after the 1976 season, was named a member of the all-time All-AFL team, first team. Another thing that is unique about Ed is that his son Brad actually played in the NFL as well. And they are the only father-son duo to date that have both been drafted in the first round by the same team. Obviously, there have been other father-son duos that have been drafted in the first round, but they are the only father-son duo to have been drafted by the same exact team, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know I was going through my recent commons out in the garage, and I remember seeing Brad's card in there, and I'm like, I wonder if he signs through the mail as I was going through them. And foolishly enough, I didn't pull them out to send them to him, but I'm definitely going to be considering doing that here in the near future. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watching another episode. Some of these guys are some of the greatest Kansas City Chiefs that are out there. Deron Cherry, for example, I definitely remember during my lifetime, he was somebody that I vividly remember. Gary Green, on the other hand, and obviously Ed, are guys that are before my lifetime, but hopefully some of the viewers here may remember them. I look forward to you leaving some comments below, and as always, happy collecting.